There are a tremendous number of schools of thought about when makeup should be applied, in what order. I personally choose to apply my eye makeup first because even when you're using lighter shadows, it's a shadow and it's on a brush. It is going to fall away. And you don't want it to fall into and destroy makeup that you're going to put all this time and effort into working on and have to redo entire parts of faces. So from where I stand, I do eye makeup first, but don't feel limited or forced to do that. You can do makeup in any order you want with the vast majority of the face, but just make sure when you're done, the finished product is flawless. So I'm going to dive right in, right away, with the eye makeup. The first thing I'm going to do, the eyes are the window to the soul. And when someone's wearing an eye makeup, no matter how simple it is, and the one we're doing now is relatively simple, you still want to make sure that it is effervescent and effortless and easy, opens the eye right up. Equally important, you want it to last all day. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to prime. Primer evens out the skin tone on the lid. It creates an ideal base for your shadows to go on by canceling out the colors that are already on the lid, and it gives a smooth, flawless application of eyeshadow color. So I've worked a little primer onto a concealer brush. See, brushes can be used for so many different things. She's going to close her eye for me, and I am going to go right in, and I'm just going to paint it right on. You'll see it almost disappears, but it pretty much perfects the skin while it's disappearing. Pick up a little more, fill both sides of my brush, and I'm able to just easily go right over. I'm going to work it all the way up underneath the brow bone. There we go. And all the way out to the outer corner. Make sure it's all smooth and even. The eyelid has a lip, so if you want to, and the lip is right near the lash line. So if you want to just hold the skin and lift it up, you can make sure to get everything in right there. It has that little lip because it needs that little bit of extra give so that the eye can open and close and still have us look normal. So there, effortlessly, easily applied. The next thing that we're going to do is apply a base shadow. A base shadow, there are several things that you can do. If you want a good, clean, even natural makeup, the best thing to do is use something like, in her tone, a vanilla or a bone or a wheat shade. That's going to open up the whole eye, make the whole area look clean. So I'm going to take an eyeshadow brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of a vanilla wheaty shade. I'm going to work a little bit off on my hand. She's going to close her eye. I'm just going to go in. I'm going to start at the inner corner. The reason I start at the inner corner with light shadows is where you lay your brush first is where the majority of the color is going to fall. Because as I pick up color, it's strongest right now. It's strongest at this very minute. Even though I'm going to take a little off, it's still stronger now than it's about to be 2 streaks from now. And you're going to 2 swipes from now. And you're really going to want that brightness, that openness to be inside, because people tend to work darkness in at the outer corners. So why waste the brightness here with your first swipe? So I'm using a smaller brush. Had I used one of the giant brushes like I demonstrated, I would have done that in 2 little sweeps. This opens the eye right up. So if she opens her eye, you see we have a good, clean, wide open eye. Truth be told, for an even, clean, straight makeup, we could stop right there. I'm going to get this onto the other side right away, starting with a little bit of primer. Primer is a must with most clients. It's especially important for film, television, brides, magazine photo shoots, runway. Because you're not going to have, if someone's eyeshadow starts creasing, particularly a bride or somebody who's working on TV, the production doesn't always have the time or the budget to be stopping all the time for you to smooth out something like that. they're much more keen to make you time to put a little powder on somebody. Nobody minds when you run in with a powder, but if an eyeshadow's creasing, it tends to require a lot more work and a lot more effort. So in order to, save production times and money, to keep a bride happy, to keep everybody happy, if you build safeguards in from moment one, you're going to have an easy, beautiful, flawless application that lasts all day and does not require a massive amount of touch-ups. So simple, clean, and easy. And you can see what that did is just open up and brighten the eye area. So there's our base shadow application. The next thing that we're going to do is apply a little bit of a crease mid-tone shade. I'm going to go in with a very fluffy brush, and I'm going to use what I like to call the superhero, and probably, I guess in this way, it's sort of like Clark Kent when he's not Superman. Because nobody would think taupe is as valuable as it is, but when taupe gets used and what it can facilitate is like the ripping off of Superman's shirt. It does amazing, amazing, amazing things. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit of taupe, I'm gonna work a little bit off, and have her close her eye. Now, I'm gonna work it through the crease. If you wanna find the crease, it's very easy to do. And if you don't know where it is right away on your model, because it's very easy to tell on her, because she's got a perfect flat eye. But if she didn't and you want to know where the crease is, this is what you do. And you'll see she's gonna tell you what and if she feels anything as we go. Close your eye. That doesn't hurt at all, does it? But do you see how I'm able to see right where the eye rounds? That's your crease right there. When you're very gentle with a client, even if you're finding something, it's completely okay, it's completely acceptable to do. So I'm gonna take a little bit of that taupe, I'm gonna work it through. You'll see I'm using a very fluffy brush, so it's gonna grow really gently. It's gonna be a very slow process. The faster you want it to grow, swipe faster. And you're gonna see the brush is actually settling right in there. I'm putting very little pressure on you, right? I'm letting the brushes do the work. That's the thing about the brushes, they know what they're doing. So let them. You don't have to force anything onto a client's skin. So I'm gonna sweep it down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extend it a little beyond, and I'm just going to gently invite it over here onto the edge of the lid. Little softness, little smoothness, work it through right there. Open your eye for me. And you can see we've started to create soft, easy definition in the eye, which is perfect for an easy straight look, something you might wear to the office, something you might start to build for a character on a TV show who shouldn't look like she's wearing makeup, something really, really, really easy. On the other side, just gonna turn her head just a tiny bit. Remember, if you can't find it, just look for it. Just look for it. The key is always to be gentle. Be gentle. One of the trademarks of a beautiful makeup application is the blend. And these fluffy brushes are what deliver that. So never be afraid to go in a few times and blend. Remember the other tool that I told you about that's great for blending? This one? Never be afraid if you want to soften something, particularly at outer edges and sides, to just work your finger in there. It'll soften easily and beautifully. Open your eye for me. And there we go. A nice softly defined, easy eye. The next thing we're going to do after that is we're going to apply just a hair of liner. Now, as I said once before, I love to use powder liners. They look so natural. They seem to graduate right up from the face. If you want something bolder, if you're going for a pinup direction, yeah, you're gonna wanna use liquids or creams. But in this respect, we're going for something much softer. This is just sort of a soft eye. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit of black. I'm gonna take a good bit of it off. A lot came off. And then I'm going to have her close her eye. I'm going to start. Now this is my angle brush that's very firm because I want precise application. I'm going to start right in at the inner corner, and I am just going to press it into the lash line. The pressing does two things. It gives a very soft definition, and if you give it a little wiggle, it gives it a tiny bit of smoke, which is very natural because you're already taking a lot of the color off. So when you go in with just a little bit and give it a little bit of smoke, it's got this effortless fade, so it adds a little kiss of magic to the eye. And who doesn't mind a little magic in their day, I ask you? I certainly don't. So work it through. I might extend it just a tiny bit beyond, or build a baby wedge there if we want to open the eye a little bit more. Open your eye up for me. There. We have a very easy definition right along the lash line. I'm going to go in on the other side. Remember, it's nice and soft. It's a press and a wiggle, a press and a wiggle. It's comfortable, right? Mm-hmm. It's a press and a wiggle. You know, makeup is it's a luxury for almost everybody. If you work on television or if your job is being a model, you know, it's more of a, you know, a hazard of the job. But when we're wearing, I don't call it a hazard of the job, but sometimes having so much makeup on so many days can wreak havoc on the skin, right? If you're wearing makeup 15, 20 days in a row for 8, 10-hour days, full faces of makeup, you can end up with some pimples. So there can be a hazard attribute to it if you don't cleanse properly. But for most people, it's really a luxury. The idea of having your makeup done is a treat that many women, a lot of women, only have done on their wedding day. There's a tremendous number who wedding days or proms or really special events like that. It's changing as time evolves, but we want to make sure that our touch and everything that we do makes sure that, particularly if you're working with one of those clients who this is the only time they're going to have makeup done, you want to make sure it's incredibly memorable. So make sure the experience is joyful for them from start to finish. So that's a soft lining of the upper lash line. You see, it gives a beautiful, easy definition. Now what I'm going to do on my hand, you see I'm taking out all that black. I'm going to pick up Superman, my taupe, and I'm going to give us just a little bit of a drop shadow. So I'm going to take a little bit off right there. Look right up to the ceiling for me. Now I'm going to go right up here, and it's just kind of the reverse of what I just did. Pressing right along her lash line, I'm just going to press this taupe. Now, women are really used to it, but it feels like, when you're so close to the lower lashes in particular, it can almost feel like someone can think you're going to poke them in the eye, particularly if they're not accustomed to having makeup done all the time. So if they blink a lot, just remind them, I'm right underneath your eyelid. What you're feeling is the eyelashes. It's very, very, very common for somebody, when someone else is near their eyelashes for the first time, to feel really funny. Now what I'm doing is actually called drop shadow. You'll notice I'm not going all the way in. I'm going to just beyond the pupil, and I'm going with a really fine line. So what it does is it gives the illusion that the lower eyelashes are much thicker. So thick, in fact, that they're casting a shadow. That's why it's called a drop shadow. So you're doing a little makeup illusionry. So I've picked up a little more. I'm going to go in on the other side. Look right up to the ceiling. Now, when your model looks up to the ceiling, if you find that they're still having a hard time, you know, a lot of blinking, make them choose one specific point, because a really dramatically different thing happens when you say, look up at the ceiling, and someone looks around, they're kind of looking at a lot of things. But if you say, find a spot on the wall, or if you can find a light that's not being used, make them fixate on it. Like, see that little white spot? Fixate on that. Now, she has no problem with blinking. I'm just giving this to you as an example in case you have, you know, a model who you're working on the under eye, and then the flutter starts. And once the flutter starts, the tear flow is going to start. And when the tear flow starts, you've got cotton swabs. And if you just have them focus on one thing, you can solve that problem really quick. So choose your spot, my dear, and I'm going right back under. See, she has no problems at all. She is used to it. A lot of women are, but those women who really wear no makeup at all, who their version of a full face of makeup is a little bit of mascara, and there's a lot of those women out there. Those women can have a really hard time when you're underneath their eye. So this is my drop shadow. You'll notice I'm going super, super, super gentle, and there we are. That adds an easy, effortless, soft definition to the eye, still keeping them a focal point without anybody being able to pinpoint or pick up necessarily what makeup has been done and what the purpose is.